We on?
All
Okay,
right,
cool.
we ought to be getting an alert too.
Yep. Okay. All right, Shalom. First,
Shalom.
first and foremost, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and those a great millstone, and peace and citations to the elect. The LD Atazak here with me, and I'm the brother Aina from GMS Dallas. And pretty much we're going to continue on the series of First Samuel. And we're 25 chapters in, man. This chapter here is going to be going into an account of pretty much one of basically David's wives that he gets, and it's going to be a lesson to those that think that they're good and they're riches. Oh well, first scripture that comes to mind. Let me go and share my screen. First scripture that comes to mind is James chapter 5. Let me go ahead and share this real quick. Because we're gonna get into the account, but let's just go ahead and start off with this James 5 real quick. Okay. You see my screen, Zaquan? Okay, cool. That'll be good. All right, this is James chapter 5, verse 1. It says, "Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten." So your gains in this world is not going to save you, man. It's the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushai having mercy on you is what's going to ultimately be save you. Okay, but you got to have faith in those names, in Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. Okay, and then having faith, you're going to produce works to be fruitful, right? So you can read down on this chapter to kind of get more information on the misuse of riches, as it says here. We're going to go straight into the account here. Now, in the last chapter, we read about how basically Saul, he got caught by David, and David decided to have mercy on him, and Saul admitted that the Lord was dealing with him, right? And that was that chapter, right? So now we're continuing on in chapter 25. This is First Samuel 25 and 1. It says, "And Samuel died, and all the Israelites were gathered together and lamented him, and buried him in his house at Ramah. And David arose and went down to the wilderness of Paran." Now, Samuel, this book is based off of Samuel, right? As far as the name of it, First Samuel was named that, and Second Samuel was named after this prophet Samuel. So after Samuel died, his work was done, right? He did what he was supposed to do. He did the work of the Lord, and so now the question is, because Samuel, he was the main guy as far as the prophet in the land of Israel. And so after his death, who took that stead? Well, the answer is King David, right? And so even though there were other prophets, like for example, what's the prophet? Was it Nathan, the prophet that told about Bathsheba?
Gone.
Right? Yeah, there was prophets that dealt with the king, but David himself was a prophet as well. He prophesied as well in the Psalms, right? So the Lord anointed David to be king, right? And that was it. So when Samuel died, that was it, right? It was sealed. Now, continuing on in verse 2, it says, "And there was a man in Maon whose possessions were in Carmel, and the man was very great, and he had 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats, and he was shearing his sheep in Carmel." So if you think about how much land it would take for you to have even 100 sheep, let alone 3,000, right? And then another 1,000 goats. I think how much is a shank of lamb just to get a little thing of lamb? Probably what, like $20-$30 for like 2 little pieces, So you can imagine how wealthy he was, right? And so it says, verse 3. Now the name of the man was Nabal. So what we're gonna do is get that word Nabal in the Hebrew. Is if you got any points, of course, Feel free to chime in.
Oh yeah, like the brother was saying, when you look at the land and you look at the substance that this man had, you would think that that type of wealth would need security.
Yep.
You see,
Mm-hmm.
and David and his men were providing security for Nabal.
Mm-hmm.
You see,
Yep.
to make sure that nobody jacked with his substance. You know, he basically had a security team.
Mm-hmm.
And going into this account, David's security team needed to be paid for their for working.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy didn't want to do it. Which when you think about it, you have situations to where you may be justified in somebody doing you wrong, but the actions that you take shouldn't be dictated by that emotion. You see, you work for somebody and they don't want to pay you, you're gonna tend to be pissed off, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, what you're taking from this chapter is when you're in a situation like that, how do you respond? You
Mm-hmm.
see, do you take heed to the warnings that the Lord presents? Because the Lord will present a way out, and as we continue to read this story, we're gonna bring up points to where, yes, it happened to David, but these things are also gonna happen to us moving forward in our walk, and the way that we respond is crucial.
Mm-hmm.
You got it?
Khan, this is the word Nabal in the Hebrew, which is the same word, same pronunciation. Strong's H 5037. Nabal, and it says fool. Okay, a man of Carmel who spurned David's messengers. Damn, let's look at that word up real quick. To spurn means to reject with disdain or contempt.
Man.
So he rejected David's messengers with disdain and contempt. It says then died of shock when he realized it might cause his death. So, man, well, we pretty much spoiled the deal, but we're gonna go over it. You know what I'm saying? But his name means fool. So his parents actually, now who knows? I mean, people change names and stuff, but no, like Nabal, that's what the scriptures document is this guy's name was Nabal.
Yeah.
Okay.
All you Nabalium out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, what was that word for niggas? We forgot, man.
Oh, it was oh
I
shoot,
forgot that
man.
word, man. Dang, we need to go back to using that.
Churl.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
it also says that Nabal was a churlish man. You
Mm,
see, when we're gonna get that word churlish when we
yeah,
go down.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
But
Churlish.
yeah, I can't think of the Hebrew word, but the word churl goes into being a nigga,
Yep.
pretty much.
We used to. I forgot about that. We used to use that word. We're gonna go back to it.
Right.
Um, It says, oh, and by the way, sheep shearing. Let me go up in verse 2. Sheep shearing, it says he was shearing his sheep in Carmel. That was a way of basically reaping the benefits of having all those having all that livestock. Because yeah, like you can eat a goat or whatever the case is, but as far as the sheep, they would be more beneficial for like the wool that they provided, and so like, yeah, you can kill an animal and eat it one time, or you can keep it alive and benefit off of its
Right.
coat, and so that's how people would stay wealthy. And that's the source of clothing. Most of it was either most of it was from sheep, what would that be?
Wool.
Cotton, sheep wool. Yeah, I'm thinking cotton wool, sheep wool, and then others would be linen and stuff like that, which is from flax seeds. But this is like the main, most clothes were not made out of linen. Linen was more higher cost. This was more so a main source of clothing. Okay. And so let me see here. Okay, so verse 3, it says, now the name of the man was Nabal, and the name of his wife Abigail. I might as well get that word in the Hebrew while we're here.
It has something to do with joy, I believe.
Let me see here.
You,
Abba.
yeah, you're gonna have to help me out on that. I was looking at them. I was like, I'm gonna let I do this one.
Oh yeah, no, that's all good. Sean's H26, Abba Ya Gayal. Abba Ya Gayal.
Okay, well, yeah, I would have said it right. I would have said it
Mhm.
right. Cool.
Yeah, it's a compound word, Gayal and Abba combined. So y'all, I guess would be joy. Let me click it real quick. Oh, rejoice, rejoicing, joy, gladness, and
So
then
she had a nomen omen too.
yeah, yep. Her father, it says, my father is joy, you know, and so okay, I didn't know David's sister was also named Abigail. That's interesting. So yeah, that's pretty much it right there, right? So yeah, Abba Yah, or Abba, which is father, and then Yah means my, or like it makes it possessive. So my father, and then Gayal means joy. Uh, you know, pretty much that's the breakdown on that. So
Right.
let's go back.
She ended up basically being a joy of her household by
Yep,
being linked with David.
yep, that's right.
Because the scriptures go into uh, that the union of houses. You
Yeah.
see, those houses were joined together to fulfill the will of the heavenly Father. You got it.
Hmm. Kind of says, and she was a woman of good understanding, which is rare, very rare in these times to find that, right? Scriptures talk about that, having a woman, a prudent woman, like a prudent wife, excuse me, is basically being a blessing. It says, and of a beautiful countenance. So not only was she a woman of good understanding, but also she was, pretty, kind of reminds me of Judith, when she came on, later on, Judith. But you read that story in the Apocrypha. Um, she also had, a level of understanding and faith, right? But it says, but the man was churlish and evil in his doings, and he and he was of the house of Caleb. So he came from a noble house. So you can imagine he had a certain level of substance because the Lord blessed Caleb, right?
Right.
You had Joshua and Caleb. Those were the two that actually, the only two men that was alive during the time of the wilderness, before that 40 years, that was actually alive and seen the promised land, right? Everybody else,
Judah and Ephraim. Yep. Judah and
yeah,
Ephraim.
yep, exactly. And so but oh yeah, that word churlish, I knew I was gonna get that. And then
Oh
I'm
yeah.
trying to remember that name
I'm
of
talking
that.
about that is the definition of a nigga.
Yep, sure. Oh, I don't know if it was that one.
That was a different word.
Yeah, it's a different word. Yeah,
I think when you look up churl, I think when you
yeah,
look up, matter of fact, I look up churl, see what
yeah,
come up.
yeah. But this word here, churlish, Strong's H 7186, quasha, stiff-necked, stiff-necked, hard, rough, like cruel, like basically hard, like severe, cruel, hard, so he was like stiff-necked. He was like, he was hard-headed, like, he was hard, like, you type of dude, like, you ask him for, for some, well, we won't get the account, but you ask him for some type of leeway, and he doubled down on you. That's the type of guy that Nabal was, right? Hence his name. And so it says in verse 4, and David heard, phone call, and David heard in the wilderness that Nabal did shear his sheep. And David sent out 10 young men, and David said unto the young men, get you up to Carmel. So why did David do this? Right? Again, David was homeless, man. He was still, like, even though him and Saul had a conversation, um basically David was still an enemy of the state. He was still deemed as a what's the word, like a treasonous individual on the run. So he was still out there, in the wilderness. And so David sent his men out to get, some kind of substance from the ball, like, to kind of get some food or whatever, right? Just like how he went to what was it, the priest, I'm thinking Abiathar, but that's not but the priest that got slain by Doeg the Syrian, just like how he went to the the house, the temple of the Lord, and get the showbread. Same deal here, but this time it was a different outcome. Verse 6,
Ahimelech. Yeah,
Ahimelech, yeah,
Ahimelech.
Ahimelech, the water. Yep. Let me see here. Oh, okay, verse 5. In the middle it says, get you up to Carmel, which is like a mountainous area. Carmel itself is a mountain as well. And go to Nabal and greet him in my name. And thus shall ye say to him that liveth in prosperity, right? Oh, that reminds me. Well, I'll finish the verse and I'll get the precept. Peace be both to thee, and peace be to thine house, and peace be unto all thou hast. Right. So this part right here, to him that liveth in prosperity. Well, two scriptures come to mind. Well, the first one is in James. What is that? James 2, I think. Hold on. Let me see. Or is it yeah, James 2. Where we at here? Okay, here we go. Let me see here. Okay, James chapter 2 and verse 14. I'll start here. Well, let me see here. Yeah, I'll start verse 14. What doeth it profit, my brethren, though a man say he hath faith and have not works? Can faith save him? If a brother or sister be naked and destitute of daily food, which Nabal, he had great prosperity, right? He was very rich, as we talk about in the first verse. His possessions, he had great possessions, right? And so David, he was poor. He didn't have anything. He was destitute. He was naked, right? It says if a brother or sister be naked and destitute of daily food, right? Homeless or no, not insufficient clothing or whatever, the basic fundamentals, right? It says, and one of you say unto them, depart in peace, be warmed and filled. Notwithstanding, ye give them not those things which are needful to the body. What doeth it profit? So, in layman's terms, if somebody comes to you and asks for you for something, right, and you just tell them, oh, the Lord gonna bless you, have faith, right? But it's in your power to clothe that brother or to, help the brother, get on his feet, whatever the case is, right? If he's starving, we're not gonna say, oh, brother, have faith. The Lord gonna feed you. The Lord is putting you in a position to help, right? And so it has no profit if you just don't put any works for it. You have to have works with that faith, right? And so it says, even so, faith, if it hath not works, is dead, being alone. So yeah, it talks about that. Like if you have two coats, give it to your brother, right? And then the other scripture is in Sirach, where it talks about, and I'll just paraphrase it and then get back to First Samuel. It talks about when you do good, know who you're doing good to, right? Nabal didn't consider, he basically looked at David like he was some wicked, evil guy, right? And said, man, look, well, we're going to get his response. But those are the two precepts that came to mind.
I'm saying David had a reputation. David had a reputation as a warrior. They knew that he was and can't forget that he was keeper of the sheep.
Mm-hmm.
You see, watching over the flock. He was watching over Nabal's flock the way he would watch over the flock of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai.
Mm-hmm.
He put that type of energy into it. You got it.
Con. Yeah. Oh, okay. I'll read it real quick. I'm not gonna pull it up on the screen, but Sirach chapter 12 and verse 1. When thou wilt do good, know to whom thou doest it, so shalt thou be thanked for thy benefits. It says, do good to the godly man, and thou shalt find a recompense. And if not from him, yet from the Most High. You see, so he missed out on his blessing when he didn't show no love to David, man, because David, he was a godly man. You see. So anyway, continuing on in verse 7. And now I have heard that thou hast shearers. Now thy shepherds were with us, which were with us, we hurt them not, neither was there aught missing unto them all the while they were in Carmel. Ask thy young men, and they will show thee. Right. So, like you said, Zaquan, like basically they were being bodyguards to the men, that was in Carmel, his employees, Nabal's employees, if you will. Right, because Nabal, he got 3,000 sheep. He ain't got time to shear all them damn sheep by himself. He got employees, right? So it says, wherefore let the young men find favor in thine eyes. for we come in a good day. Meaning, like, look, man, we ain't coming upon you asking you for nothing too crazy. You know what I mean? We did you guys a favor. We kind of in need. We kind of down bad right now. Is it cool if you help us out? Right? That's what he was basically saying or asking. Right? So in the middle of verse 8, give, I pray thee, whatsoever cometh to thine hand unto thy servants and to thy son David. See,
You know what I'm
David.
saying? They didn't even have no price. They were like, they were trying to deal straight up.
Mm-hmm.
They were trying to deal like men. You got all this substance. We can help. You know what I'm saying? We don't even have no set price. Just whatever you see fit for what you see amongst us. We'll take that.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yep. It says, verse 9, and when David's young men came, they spake to Nabal according to all these words in the name of David and ceased. Right? So they presented those words to Nabal. It says in verse 20, and Nabal answered David's servants and said, who is David? And who is the son of Jesse? There be many servants nowadays that break away every man from his master.
That's just like you remember that scene in Coming to America when Sam Jackson bust up in the McDowell's and Hakeem walked up to tell him, he was like, man, you doing too much, man. What you doing? You all in front of the people, you scurrying or whatever. And he was like, who the F is this a-hole? You know what I'm saying? Talking all loud.
Man.
You remember it already told you he was a foolish nigga.
Right.
Just by his name and his description. Nabal the churlish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The churlish one.
Yep.
Who the hell is David? I ain't trying to. You could just imagine how boisterous he was with that shit,
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I got a precept real quick in Proverbs 15. Proverbs 15. And verse 1, it says, a soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. You see?
You see? There you go. There you go. He could have been like, nah, I'm good. I already got my security. I'm straight. No thanks. Mm-hmm. But you see how he responded. And now you're gonna see how David is gonna respond. Mm-hmm. Keep going.
Kind. It says the tongue of the wise. Oh, you meant on the
if you got more than that, then go ahead and finish it.
Yeah, kind. Yeah. It says the tongue, verse 2, the tongue of the wise useth knowledge of right, but the mouth of fools poureth out foolishness. Mm. Yeah, so the mouth of Nabalium. You know what I mean? The mouth of Nabal poured out some Nabal, man. Yep. And pretty much we're gonna see what happened. So it says in verse 11, 1 Samuel 25 and 11. Shall I take my bread and my water and my flesh that I have killed for my shearers and give it unto men whom I know not whence they be? That's some,
I don't know them niggas.
Yeah, man. Like,
don't come talking to me about no son of Jesse, no son of nobody. I'm straight.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's not really the way to be, man. Another scripture that comes to mind. Let's see, a lot of these ones in Sirach are coming up. Sirach 11 and 7. I'm gonna pull that up real quick. Sirach 11.
I think I was say he sounded like General Yohana in my head. Come to the path of our everything. You know what I'm saying? That's how he sounded to me in my head.
Oh man, it pretty much he probably sounded like that.
Cause a Negro would jump up and say Yahweh. You see how these niggas are?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. It says Sirach chapter 11 and verse 6. Many mighty men have been greatly disgraced, and the honorable delivered into other men's hands. Blame not before thou hast examined the truth. Understand first, and then rebuke. Right? It says, answer not before thou hast heard the cause, neither interrupt men in the midst of their talk. So he was like, man, look, he didn't really understand. Like, he didn't inquire, okay, what manner of like men, like, am I dealing with? Is David? Is he an upstanding guy? Like, what's his background? He just said, man, who the hell is David? Who is it? Who is his dad? Who is Jesse? Who we don't know these dudes. We don't know these guys, man. and that's not the right answer. That's not the right way to go about things, you know. And so, it says in verse 12. Now, by the way, if David and his guys were like wicked, then yeah, like I mean, because the scriptures say, "When thou doest good, know to who thou do it." So, like, if he was just a wicked, like really, like if he was an evil, dude, then yeah, or like a heathen, then we don't got to give to them heathens, But David was, man, come on, David was a man after the Most High's heart. If you want to give to anybody, you want to give to David, right?
It's almost like an entertain angels unaware situation.
Yeah,
You want to watch the way you talk to people. It says, if all possible, be at peace with all men.
right.
Nabal could have easily just been like, okay, well, I hear you, but tell David to come talk to me, and then we'll have a discussion. It could have went so many different ways outside of this, but this is the way that the Lord set it up.
Yep, exactly.
It shows you how to be by looking at David. It shows you how not to be part of the Nabalium.
So it says in verse 12, 1 Samuel 25. So David's young men turned their way and went again and came and told him all those sayings. And David said unto his men, gird ye on every man his sword. And they girded on every man his sword. And David also girded on his sword. And there went up after David about 400 men, and 200 abode by the stuff.
So he was like, look, man, we finna go ride. This nigga need to pay us. We don't watch his flock. We don't try to deal straight up. We came in order. David was hot in the flesh.
Yep.
You see, he looking at the state of his men. You see, he looking at the state of his men. So he was trying to make a business deal so that he could provide for his men. You see, and then this dude act like that after the work has been done. You see, so it pissed David off. But think about that. How many times are we gonna get pissed off by somebody and let our emotions dictate the situation? Man, I ought to hit this nigga in his jack him all up. You know what I'm saying? Keep going. That's what your flesh want to do.
Yep. It says in verse 14. It says, but one of the young men told Abigail, Nabal's wife, saying, behold, David sent messengers out of the wilderness to salute our master, and he railed on them. You know what I mean? Like,
get that word for rail.
Yeah. I gotta get that one. Yep.
Yeah, and now his wife is being told a story. You see, because once it got to the point where David was ready to ride, he was talking about getting everybody up out there. He was talking about, we finna kill everybody in his house.
Yep.
Go ahead. And that also shows you that you're not the only person that's gonna have to pay for your actions. It's a trickle down effect. You can affect other people too by being a nigga, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the word for railed. Strong's H5860. Ayat. See, by the way, side note, whenever you see the Hebrew in the blue letter, and you're on the highways and byways, and the brother asks you, hey, brother, get that Hebrew word. You don't just go down here and look at the pronunciation that Esau gives you, because it's always going to be wrong.
Right.
You see, this is not pronounced eat. Like, that's what he has as the pronunciation. It's I, ya, ta, ayat. Okay. So it says to scream or to shriek. Like you said, Zaquan, like you picture the way that he replied back to David. That's how he was.
Where the hoes?
You do it way better than me. That's it. Like that's pretty much what he was doing, screaming at them guys, like for no reason though.
Yeah, right? I don't need no nigga watching shit for me. Right?
That's it. Screaming and yelling, top of his voice, getting pissed off just for asking.
Yeah. It sounded like when Chameleon asked Michael Jordan to take a picture. Michael Jordan acted a fool on Chameleon. I ain't taking no picture with no niggas. Oh yeah, he went in on Chameleon.
Damn, shit! I'm about to watch that. I'm about to watch that after the lesson.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, also, I think Paul Pierce told the story, man. That shit was hilarious. That's what it sounds like when it's describing Nabal and his actions.
Yep.
You got it. Let's get back on topic.
Yep. It says, so he railed on him, screaming at the top of his lungs, right? Verse 15, it says, but the men were very good unto us, and we were not hurt. See, this is the house of David we're talking about. So, imagine like, brothers, like, you know what I mean? Like, imagine like basically how the brotherhood is. That's how they were being treated. And so they were seeing that like, damn, these guys, they didn't deserve that,
Right,
So
right. Yeah. They were stand up dudes. They came over and talked to us. They protected us. They helped us protect the flock. They came over and talked to us. They was cool dudes. Mm-hmm. So when we came to Nabal to ask him would he go ahead and pay them for their services, we don't see why he acted like that. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Okay. It says, neither missed we anything as long as we were conversing with them when we were in the fields. Because, we got to remember, man, like, this might sound like what happened, like, what was the big deal? No. People, our enemies I'm talking about, they were surrounded, like, they surrounded the landmass. You know what I mean? Like, like you can see here, you got the Moabites over here, on the other side of the Dead Sea, right? You got the Edomites to the south. Remember, you had the Philistines that was all up through the land as well. So
Edom,
they were like
Edom, Moab, and Ham.
Edom,
the main enemies. You know what I'm saying? When David finally conquered all of them, he rejoiced. Mm-hmm. You see, it was the will of the Heavenly Father for David to conquer those nations, man. So that's a huge deal.
Salakia. Yeah. And you can see where the Edomites dwelt. That was close to, I don't know, I'm gonna try to zoom in as far as I can zoom in. You can see Maon and Carmel, they were very close to one another, right? Mm-hmm. So David was in Maon in the wilderness, in Carmel, which is like, a mountainous region. You got Mount Carmel, but it's like the city, there's a city in the area as well. So, it was like kind of basically walking distance, right? So it was within Nabal's power to, give them some victuals, right? And continuing on in 1 Samuel, when we were in the fields, because it's open plain. Like anybody can come up, a band of men can come up and just, see, oh damn, these got 3,000 sheep, man. These dudes is loaded, right? And it could have took them all out. You know what I mean? But David, his men was there, so ain't nothing crazy happened. Right?
Security. Security. He provided security.
That's it.
Okay. Wasn't nobody gonna mess with those sheep knowing that David was securing David and his men.
Yeah.
You see? And that was a solid. It was basically like it was basically a barter situation. We'll provide these services, and they didn't even come with a price. Whatever you see fit, we just try to make a deal because, like you said, we're in a bad position right now. You see, so we try to do what we can to survive.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So you got you see here. Okay, verse 16. It says, and they were a wall unto us both by night and day, all the while we were with them, keeping the sheep.
That's what I'm saying. So he was protecting the sheep. He was protecting the man's investment, and he was protecting his employees. Mm-hmm. You see, and the employees were grateful. So they vouched for they vouched for David and his men. Mm-hmm. You see, go ahead.
Yep. All right. So let me see here. Now, therefore, verse 17. Know therefore and consider what thou wilt do, for evil is determined against our master and against all his household, for he is such a son of Belial that a man cannot speak to him.
That's what I'm saying. So he was like, man, look, David is pissed off. He's talking about killing all of us now. So, and you can't tell Nabal nothing. We all finna die just because he being a nigga. That's what they telling his wife. You see, part of that house. That's what I'm saying. When you spoil a household, shit, the women that have laid with men or have been touched, you kill them.
Yep. I'm looking up Nabal's net worth right now,
Yep.
right? So it says a sheep. Let me see here. Costs the selling price of a sheep is $275. The market sheep selling price for on livestock.com, right? And so I believe it's for a live, living sheep. Okay. Now it said he had 3,000 sheep, right? So 275 times 3,000. I'm gonna show the screen. $825,000, man, worth of merchandise, or worth of sheep.
Mm-hmm.
Modern, so almost $1 million, like $900,000 worth of stuff. And the men was protecting that. David's men was protecting that. Let's just show the screen. You know, David's men was protecting that much money from the ball, and the ball didn't even want to give. You only want to give one little $1,000 of worth of food. You know what I'm saying,
Right.
to provide, So like, nah, man, being a nigga, man. And that price for that lamb, that's cheaper than I thought. Shit, I can go out and buy me one. But let me go back here, finish this out. Let's see. All right, continuing on. Abigail intercedes, right? First Samuel 25 and 18. Then Abigail made haste and took 200 loaves and 2 bottles of wine and 5 sheep ready dressed and 5 measures of parched corn and 100 clusters of raisins and 200 cakes of figs, and laid them on asses.
That's what I'm saying. So David and them didn't even ask. David didn't even ask for that much. You
Mhm.
see, but what she saw fit through the spirit was enough for them. You see, just give us enough. That's all we need is enough. We willing to secure your property. We willing to put our life on the line. We just trying to get by. You know what I'm saying? In pilgrim status. You see, give us this day our daily bread type spirit,
Mhm.
right? Go ahead.
Yeah, imagine. I mean, it took a while for her, to actually her and her servants to whip that up, but they made haste, right? And got the victuals needed, right? 5 measures of corn, 100 clusters of raisins, 200 cakes of figs, and laid them on asses. So that's like a whole a semi truck worth of food that she brought
Mhm.
for them. It says in verse 19, and she said
But
unto her,
bro, that's what let you know. That's what let you know the substance that Nabal had.
mm-hmm,
She scraped that up in haste. That's what she scraped up in haste. Imagine if she had a week to do it.
mm,
You know? Go
yep,
ahead.
kind. It says verse 19, and she said unto her servants, go on before me. Behold, I come after you. But she told not her husband Nabal. So she was like, hey, look, hurry up and go, go ahead and dip out. I'm about to, take care of this here, and I'm gonna move around too. I'm gonna go out and follow, I'm gonna come behind y'all. Right. So she was trying to hurry up and get them get them that gift before like they came, right?
Right?
Uh
Because keep in mind, David has a reputation at this point.
yeah, yes.
You see, David and his men have a reputation at this point. Go ahead.
Yep. Oh, I got a precept.
Bring it
Um,
out.
yep. Proverbs 18 and 16. It says, a man's gift maketh room for him and bringeth him before great men. Now, in this case, it was a woman's gift, right? But it made room for her. We're gonna see what type of room she got, right? And basically, at least her life was spared, right? That was the goal. It says in verse 19. I'm sorry, excuse me, verse 20. It says, and it was so. Now hold on, I'm sorry. Now you could read this and say, look, see, she told not her husband Nabal. So see, wives, you don't gotta tell your wives everything. I mean, excuse me, your wife, she don't gotta tell you where she going and every time. Nah, man, she did that because Nabal already turned them away, right? And Nabal was known to be a churl, a scoundrel, a knave, a niggard, because that's what really a nigger or a niggard is, man. Somebody that's stingy, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a scripture too. Oh, you know what? Shit. Bring it out real quick. Sirach 14, you know. See, because people get offended when we say the N word. Okay.
Bring it out.
This is um Sirach chapter 14 and verse 3. It says, riches are not comely for a niggard, right? And what should an envious man do with money? You see, so let's look that word up. Niggard. Well, let me copy. Oh, it won't let me copy and paste it. But yeah, when you look it up, it means a scoundrel or knave, somebody that's stingy, right? And so it says, riches are not comely for a stingy man. Comely meaning like it doesn't behoove him. It's not profitable for him. It's not a good look. You okay? Riches are only a good look for somebody that's willing to give and somebody that's upright. Okay, somebody that's stingy. That money ain't gonna last in his hand for very long.
Right.
Okay, so going back to First Samuel, it says, and it was so, verse 20, and it was so as she rode on the ass that she came down by the covert of the hill, and behold, David and his men came down against her, and she met them. It says, now David had said, surely in vain have I kept all this fellow hath in the wilderness, kept all that this fellow hath in the wilderness. So nothing was missed of all that pertained unto him, and he hath requited me evil for good. And this is before like Abigail ran into David. This is like kind of in the background was going on while she was making the cakes and all that, right? And so this is what David had said previously. It says in verse 22, so and more also do the Most High unto the enemies of David, if I leave of all that pertain to him by the morning light any that pisseth against the wall. So when you pee, if you pee standing up, you was a target, okay,
Right.
in David's eyes, because again, yo, man, you don't want to defraud your neighbor, man. Like you said earlier, Zaquan, like you don't really know who all like you dealing with sometimes. Like that's why, I mean, sometimes when people ask for money, I mean, yo, man, like even if you you may be kind of down bad. I mean, shit, like even homeless people sometimes like they might ask me, or they might not even be homeless, but whatever, right? They come to me asking for some bread. I might not have no cash on me. I'll tell them, look, bro, I don't have any cash on you. You take Cash App, and be like, oh yeah, I got cash. Some people, they actually have Cash App. You know what I'm saying? I might Cash App them a little something, man, because you don't really know. Hopefully, well, like the scriptures say, charity covereth the multitude of sins. So none of that was going on in Nabal's mind. It was only keeping what he had.
You
Right.
got to keep in mind they went David and his men. They were in straits, man. They still being persecuted by Saul at this point.
Right.
You see.
Yep.
So to be defrauded when you already in straits, it intensifies your anger. It intensifies that anger you feeling in the flesh. So shit, David, look, keep reading. Yeah,
Yep.
keep reading.
Yep. It says, verse 23. And when Abigail saw David, she hasted and lighted off the ass, which is a donkey. An ass is a donkey, and fell before David on her face and bowed herself to the ground.
Now keep in mind, when you go into the word blessed means to have people bow down before you. Keep that in mind. Go ahead.
Kind of, it says, and fell at his feet and said, upon me, my Lord, upon me let this iniquity be, and let thine handmaid, I pray thee, speak in thine audience and hear the words of thine handmaid.
That's what I'm saying. So the reasoning that Nabal failed to do has now fell on his wife. She like, look, let this sin be on me, because at least I can apologize for it and make it right. Nabal had already burnt the bridge. The damage was already done by him, to where this is her response. You see? Yep. She got to save herself and the rest of the house because of what her husband did.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
And she came and she sent her servants before, so they probably was wondering like, damn, where'd this shit come from? They already had received the cakes and things that she made. It says in verse 25, let not, my Lord, I pray thee, regard this man of Belial, even Nabal, for as his name is, so is he.
She was like, please, my lord. I mean, his name is Nabal, so of course he gonna be foolish. But don't all of us ain't got to suffer because of him. Go ahead.
Nabal is his name, and folly is with him. But I, thine handmaid, saw not the young men of my Lord, whom thou didst send.
That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't have done them like that. Ain't no way in hell I would have. Ain't no way in hell I would have turned y'all away from what y'all did.
Mm.
Y'all did us a solid, so it's only right that we do you a solid back.
Mm-hmm.
You see, I don't know what the fuck that nigga was thinking.
Man.
Go ahead.
Yep. It says, now therefore, my Lord, as Yahweh liveth, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai liveth, and as thy soul liveth, seeing Yahweh Bashem Yahushai hath withholden thee from coming to shed blood, and from avenging thyself with thine own hand, now let thine enemies and they that seek evil to my Lord be as Nabal. Damn, which that's her own husband.
Yeah.
So, damn, she saw it, but he couldn't. Well, she didn't even meet David. This is her first time meeting David, but she at least had the discernment to know, okay, no, these men they're upstanding men, they're upright men. They got did dirty by my husband. So, thank the Lord that you didn't kill any of us for my husband's mistakes. Mm-hmm. Right. In verse 27, it says, and now this blessing.
And she called him Lord, which also shows that she was in order. Mm-hmm. You see? Go ahead.
Yep. It says, and now this blessing, which thine handmaid, which a handmaid is a servant.
Yep. Complete subjection.
Yep.
Complete subjection.
Because
she bowed down to him. She bowed to him. She called him Lord. She told him that, oh, look, I'm your servant. Mm-hmm. You see? Go ahead.
God. It says, and now this blessing which thine handmaid hath brought unto my Lord, let it even be given up to the young men that follow my Lord. Right. So she was like, look, this is for y'all.
This is for y'all. Yeah. Yep. This is for y'all. Just save my house, Baba Kasha.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Like you said, Khan. It says in verse 28, I pray thee, forgive the trespass of thine handmaid, for the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai will certainly make my Lord a sure house, because my Lord fighteth the battles of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and evil hath not been found in thee all thy days. So, David's reputation had preceded him. Like, she was one of those people that knew, like, no, David, he went up and saved that city that one time. David, he delivered Israel from, I mean, up until like at this point, by this point, like, David, he kind of like, no, not even kind of, he had a reputation. Mm-hmm. Like before the whole thing with him and Saul, like David, he was known, what I'm saying, like as that guy, that the Lord was with in battle. So, this is why she was moving with haste. Let me see here. And this is the spirit that's going to come back, man, to a lot of, some women that the Lord, is going to decide to like have a little bit of mercy on. Like they're going to have to humble down like this. You're going to have to swallow that humility pill, swallow your pride, right? Because the black woman, man, hates the word. And hopefully I don't get the video flag. I'm sorry. But, our people hate the term submissive. Especially Southern Kingdom, they don't like that word and that term. I don't want to be submissive. They want to be they don't want to be submissive. They want to be dominant. But if they're not coming in this spirit in that day today, the Lord.
Matter of fact, go to get Genesis 3:16 in the NLT real quick.
Okay, Con.
Yeah, just to back you up, bro.
Con. Yep.
Now keep in mind, this precept is coming because the serpent and Eve did their thing, right? Mm-hmm. And the Lord is doling out punishment to them and Adam. But we just gonna focus on this verse right here.
Yep. Genesis chapter 3, verse 16. Unto the women he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee.
Now get it in the NLT.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Get that. Actually, I'll do it like this. Bibles. Okay. NLT. Where we at? It's down there, ain't it? Hold on. Oh, here we go. NLT. Genesis 3:16. Then he said to the woman, I will sharpen the pain of your pregnancy, and in pain you will give birth, and you will desire to control your husband, but he will rule over you.
That's why the brother just said what he said. If you want to expound on it, have at it.
Yeah. That's part of the woman's, like, that's part of y'all's hell, is, if you want to say like that, like the demon that's on a lot of our women to want to usurp authority over the man, when it's shown in the same chapter that the man's supposed to be leading, right? The same chapter that we reading here in Genesis 3, if you was to read it, but like the scriptures say, of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die. It's when the woman, decides to try to take things under her control and under her command, that's when all hell starts to break loose, right? But the humility factor is, the man is always going to be over the woman. That's the order, right? That's the order. That's how it was. That's how it's going to be in the kingdom. But in the kingdom, they're going to love it. They're not going to desire to control their husband anymore. They're not going to think that, oh, I'm superior, I'm equal to a man. In the kingdom, no, they're going to know their role.
Right.
And that's what it is. So going back to that First Samuel, this woman here is displaying that she's not desiring to control her. She's coming in humility, right? It says, yeah, she didn't argue with Nabal. Why you did it? She didn't start. You know what I mean? She didn't start an argument. She acted on faith. Okay. Verse 28. Verse 29. 1 Samuel 25. Yet a man is risen to pursue thee and to seek thy soul, but the soul of my Lord shall be bound in the bundle of life with Yahweh thy power, and the souls of thine enemies, them shall he sling out, as out of the middle of a sling. So she was getting poetic. She was like, look, let your enemies, let them fall out of the grace of the Lord. You're the one that the Lord gonna have mercy on. The Lord he's with you. She was trying to be a part of that vibration. It says in verse 30, and it shall come to pass when Yahweh Shem Yahshai shall have done to my Lord according to all the good that he has spoken concerning thee, and shall have appointed thee ruler over Israel. See, so people knew, no, David, he's the one that's going to be king next. So that's why Saul was trying so hard. He was trying so hard to hold on to that, basically pleasing the people and trying to convince them that, no, it's me, Saul. I'm the one. My son, Jonathan, he's going to be the next king. No, but the people that was in the spirit, they knew, nah, really the Lord's dealing with David. Right? Verse 31.
I'm gonna bring this precept out on the comment board real quick. Shalom, the water for the precept. This is Isaiah 55:3. It says, incline your ear and come unto me. Hear, and your soul shall live. And I will make an everlasting covenant with you, even the sure mercies of David. You see, she obtained the sure mercies of David through that act. Just like Rahab the harlot got delivered off hearing the reputation of a man of the Lord, of the men of the Lord, and she acted accordingly, and she was rewarded.
Yep. I believe she was mentioned in Hebrews 11.
Yeah, I say even when the Lord said, if you give a prophet a cup of water, you get a reward.
Man,
now, I mean, that happened way later, but that's what I'm saying. It's the same sentiment. It's the same energy.
Yep.
You got it.
Yep. It says, verse 31, that this shall be no grief unto thee, nor offense of heart unto my Lord, either that thou hast shed blood causeless, or that my Lord hath avenged himself. But when Yahweh shall have dealt well with my Lord, then remember thine handmaid.
Now, see, Through the spirit, the Lord worked through her to keep David from committing murder because he was pissed off.
Yep.
I'm gonna say that again. The Lord put the spirit on Abigail to keep David from committing murder because he was pissed off. Let's go. Keep reading.
Kind of, yep. Verse 32. And David said to Abigail, "Blessed be Yahweh, the power of Israel, which sent thee this day to meet me."
That's what
And
I'm saying. He immediately thanked Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai for doing that.
man,
How many times since we've been reading this particular book has David given credit to Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai for directing his steps?
mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yep.
we got to do the same. These situations arise so that we can show the Lord that we understand the message. Go ahead.
It says, verse 33, and blessed be thy advice, and blessed be thou, which hast kept me this day from coming to shed blood, and from avenging myself with mine own hand.
That's what I'm saying. Call halal Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai that he put the spirit on you to keep me from committing murder.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yep. It says in verse 34, for in very deed, as Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, the power of Israel liveth, which hath kept me back from hurting thee, except thou hast hasted to come to meet me. Surely there had not been left unto Nabal by the morning light, any that pisseth against the wall.
You like, shit, if you wouldn't have came, I was gonna kill everybody. I was gonna burn that shit down. I was gonna smoke everybody in there. Right?
Man.
Go ahead.
Yep. Verse 35, it says, so David received of her hand that which she had brought him, and said unto her, go up in peace to thy house, and see, I have hearkened to thy voice, and have accepted thy person.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
go ahead.
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
you got go ahead. Say what you gonna say.
Yeah, that part of like, accepting the person who like, for that, like I basically in layman's terms, accepting persons basically means like favoritism. But in layman's terms, David was like, you know what, for you, like you get extra points. Like, I noticed that. I see that. I'm not only am I taking heed to your advice, like, I see that the Lord, to a certain degree, he's dealing with you, right? That's pretty much what
I fox with you. Yeah, I fox with
you. Yeah, for real. Yep. And verse 36, it says, and Abigail came to Nabal, and behold, he held a feast in his house. So after he got done probably selling all of the wool that he made off of the sheep shearing, he threw a dang on party, right? It says like the feast of a king. Yeah, because remember, this guy got $900,000 worth of sheep and probably another $300,000 or $400,000 worth of goat, right? But he just sold the skin. I mean the wool off the sheep, so he might have made $100,000 worth of wool. So he was turning up, right? It says like the feast of a king, and Nabal's heart was merry within him, for he was very drunken. Wherefore she told him nothing, less or more, until the morning light. So he probably thinking, man, I got me a baddie. I just made some money, man. These niggas, they was trying to take these guys, David's men. These guys, they were trying to take my my substance. I told them no, right? So he was all happy. He was chilling. He was good. He was drunk. He got drunk, right? And his wife didn't even tell him, like, she didn't even tell him nothing what happened. The heaviness of what just happened. She didn't even tell him that because he was too drunk.
Yep, he wasn't gonna receive it no ways.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
Yep. Verse 37, it says, but it came to pass in the morning when the wine was gone out of Nabal, and his wife had told him these things, that his heart died within him, and he became as a stone.
That's what I'm saying. She waited till he sobered up, told him, she was like, shit, you almost got all us killed, And she told him what happened. She told him what, what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Yep. Yeah, who knows? He might have had a heart attack, a stroke, right?
They said a stroke in one of the commentaries I read, but
Yeah.
yeah, that messed his head up to know that he was that close to dying to where it shook him. That's what I'm saying. Men's heart failing them for fear. you know,
Mm-hmm.
it messed him up when she told him what she told him. But the Lord was working. You see, the Lord was working.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It says Nabal suffered a stroke and died. All right. So he was on hospice. Oh, well, hold on. I'm getting too ahead of myself. Right. It says, and he became as a stone, meaning he basically was in a coma, or you know what I mean? Like when you in a dang on hospital bed after, a stroke or a heart attack, like you can't do, like you know, he might have been unconscious. Who knows? You know what I mean? He might have been in a coma. Right. And it says, and it came to pass about 10 days after that the Lord Yahweh smote Nabal that he died.
So David didn't. The Lord killed Nabal so David wouldn't murder him. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
He put the spirit on Abigail to let David know, no. You're not finna murder this man because you pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
You justify it because he is a nigga. But no. That's not finna be a part of your walk.
Mm.
And David hearkened to that judgment. Go ahead.
Verse 39. And when David heard that Nabal was dead, he said, Blessed be Yahweh that hath pleaded the cause of my reproach from the hand of Nabal.
Now see, David, he only wanted enough food and drink for his men.
Mm-hmm.
You see, because they were in straits. He was a tad bit emotional when Nabal did what he did, to where he was to the point so angry he was gonna murder this man in his whole house.
Yep.
You see, but at the end of the day, the Lord set it up to where he was able to control himself. He was able to hearken. He was able to chill.
Mm-hmm.
And then when David saw that Nabal was out of there, first thing he did was call all Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. Lord, I was finna mess that up. I was finna throw a pick. I was finna fumble on the goal line, Lord.
Mm.
The water for putting the spirit on her to get me back straight. Go ahead.
God, it says, For Yahweh Bashem Shai hath returned the wickedness of Nabal upon his own head.
You see, the Lord returned that wickedness upon his own head. You see? So when we get wronged, just leave it in the hands of the Lord. You see? We to the point now where we done been called rapists and pedophiles and all these different things so long that we like, you know what? The Lord gonna handle it. We know we ain't doing that stuff, man. Go ahead.
All right. Continuing on in 1 Samuel, it says in verse 39, and David sent and communed with Abigail to take her to him to wife. So he was like, hey,
Get that word communed.
Yeah. Yep. They didn't go on a date. Let me see here. And chopped it up, man. Damn, hold on. There we go. Yeah, the bar to speak. While you at the bar, and he spoke to speak, converse, right? Let me see. Converse probably would be the best one to talk, speak with somebody to talk, chop it up.
Now, according to the law, when a woman is a widow, what is it? 30 days. She shave her hair, she shave her nails. Yeah, 30 days go by before you can go in unto her.
Mm-hmm.
That might be what they talked about.
Mm-hmm. Like,
you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
He had to let her know what was about to go down. You know? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, cause say she was a widow at that point. Like David knew it was of the Lord that he got. Like David didn't touch the ball, and he got put to death. So that lets you know that was the will of the Lord. So, I mean, shit, they were like, shit. So, I mean, hey, you did say that earlier. Like, what's good,
And that's what I'm saying. When he died, his substance went to her.
Mm-hmm.
So the merging of those two households gave David what he needed moving forward for the next steps in his walk.
Mm-hmm.
And it could have been, and it would have been a whole lot different if David would have murdered that whole household because he was pissed off, even though he was justified because Nabal was a nigga. Even though David would have been justified, that's murder.
Yeah. Yep.
Go ahead.
Verse 41, and she arose and bowed herself on her face to the earth and said, Behold, let thine handmaid be a servant to wash the feet of the servants of my Lord.
Man,
I don't know how much more humble. I can't think of a more humble thing that a woman could say.
man.
she said, hold on, let me I just want to be a servant, you know, to wash the feet of your servants. So she said she want to be a servant of servants. As long as as your servant, I want to wash them. Feet washing is the most menial, low on the totem pole task that that somebody can do for some, because the feet, like that's the dirtiest, that was like the dirtiest part of your body, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So she's like, look, I just want to be a feet washer of your servants, you know. So that's the spirit she was coming in. So right, so that shows you the humility. Verse 42, and Abigail hasted and arose and rode upon an ass, which is a donkey, with 5 damsels of hers that went after her. And the damsels was like basically like house servants, or what, if you will, maidens, that Nabal had. Right now, these were her damsels. Right, it says of hers that went after her, and she went after the messengers of David and became his wife. So it wasn't no, take me out on a date. None of this. Like she
Yeah,
was just
get
like,
down on one knee. That's what I say.
yeah,
She was on her knees.
man,
Yeah,
bowing
David
basically.
didn't get down on one. Yeah, David didn't get down on one knee and throw a parade and all that
Mhm.
shit.
Yep,
Go
yep.
ahead.
Verse 43. David also took Ahinoam of Jezreel, and they were also both of them his wives. So I'm gonna finish it. It
So the
says,
Lord,
but
so for David hearkening to the Lord, he was given multiple wives and he was given land,
yeah,
right?
man,
Instead
yep.
of being on the hook for murder.
Hmm.
Go ahead.
Yep. It says, but Saul had given Michael, his daughter, David's wife, to Phalti, the son of Laish, which was of Galim. Now, basically, remember, David, he this is Michael's. That was the one that got the 200, you know, foreskins. He traded that. That was the dowry, the wedding dowry, right? Saul's daughter. You know what I'm saying? And Michael loved David too. She said it, like the scripture said it, excuse me. You know what I'm saying? But she didn't have no husband because David left or whatever. He fled for his life. See, she technically, he obviously David was still alive. So really, that shouldn't have, like that really shouldn't have happened. But Saul, he was like, man, forget that guy David. I'm gonna give you somebody else to wife,
Yep.
right?
He caused her to commit adultery.
Yeah, yeah. Yep, because really, David never died, and Saul knew that David was alive. He talked to him, so yeah, that shouldn't have happened.
Right. That was
Saul
awful.
shouldn't have did that. Yeah, But anyway, that's the end of the chapter. So, I know we've been going for a little minute now. Do we have any other precepts or anything?
No, I don't see nothing else on the comment board. But yeah,
Okay.
I would say, Lord willing, that was edifying. We want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rahahakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the Akim teaching about the Mayam Wa'amat. That's in sincerity and truth. Rahara, Bashama, more spirit, less flesh. You see? At the end of the day, your spirit has to rule over the flesh and will be rewarded. The Lord don't lie. You know
God.
what I'm saying? He made promises that we believe. Lord willing, we endure to the end. Shalom.
Shalom.